So we returned from our discussion this morning to see a note on our whiteboard that a very good friend of Sravasti, Abbey, died yesterday, which we knew was a process, and it's something that has kind of colored our program for these last few days. So I just thought to reflect on that a little bit in a couple of ways. One thing that it's brought to mind is that this Dharma friend was very instrumental and had a key role at a certain time in the Abbey's development. So he brought all of his skill and his energy and his good ideas, and he offered some very practical physical things to make the Abbey run. So it just brought to mind for me how interesting it is to reflect on the interdependence of people's relationships with Sravasti Abbey. That virtually everyone, just using Sravasti Abbey as an example, not the center of the universe, but as an example of that we can observe of how people come, they bring their energy, their ideas, it touches, it shapes in some way everything that we do, everything that moves forward from the moment of that person arriving and touching has been, that impact has been there. And so how we influence each other, how interdependent we are, how all phenomena is interdependent, and how we carry, we move forward with the imprint or the contact, depending on the strength of that goes forward with us, of that person. So, I don't know, just thinking about how so many actually good friends of the Abbey have already passed, and we all will. We're all on the way out, every single one of us here, every single person watching. And that impact that we have goes on, and it's not us. It's not a solid us. It's not a solid impact. It's not a solid influence. But the network of movement, of the interdependence of things, is very much in my mind. The other thing that it brought to mind is a sutra from the Buddha that someone gave me many years ago, the Upajjhatthana Sutta, which is in the Anguttara Nikaya. That's the book of numbers, the book of lists, the one things, the twos things, the threes things, the fours things. And this is in the book of fives. It's 5 reflections. And the Buddha said we should reflect on these every day. I don't do it every day, but pretty much. It's very helpful to take a situation like the death of someone close to us and then take these reflections right back into our own lives and use it to fuel our practice. So it's these 5 reflections. I'm sure there's many lists of 5 reflections, but it's these 5. I am of the nature to age. I have not gone beyond aging. I am of the nature to sicken. I have not gone beyond sickness. I am of the nature to die. I have not gone beyond death or dying. All that is mine, beloved, and pleasing will become otherwise, will be separated from me. That's the 4th one. And then the 5th one, I am the heir of my karma. I am born of my karma. I am related to my karma. I abide supported by my karma. Whatever actions I do for good or ill, of that I will be the heir. Thus we should frequently recollect. So there's lots of teachings in these 5 reflections, lots. But these first 3 is the one that, this particular incident of our friend's passing is brought to mind, is this going back to the idea that I am of the very nature to age. And then this line, I have not gone beyond aging. This goes right to the pride, the arrogance of youth, our intoxication with youth. I am of the nature to age. I haven't gone beyond that. I am of the nature to sicken. I haven't gone beyond sickness. Goes right at our intoxication with health. Our illusion that good health will protect us or save us, or that there is some even phenomenon like perfect health, that exists somewhere. I am of the very nature to sicken. and I am of the nature to die. I have not gone beyond dying. I have not gone beyond dying. For me, this is really a critical piece. As much of my denial about, I'm not going to die today, or, if I calculate, maybe I have another good 30 years, who knows, all of those ideas that people entertain, you must, because I do, about having some future, to remember that I'm the very nature to die is something else. I'm made to die. I am the very nature of dying. I have not gone beyond it. These three, they talk about in the discourses, that these first three are the very realizations, this intoxication with youth, intoxication with health, intoxication with life. These are the three that the Buddha himself overcame to renounce the worldly life and to take up the homeless life. And so they are in the teachings for monastics, that these are three of the things that we look at, we examine when we take a step into the monastic life. And then, of course, the fourth one is about the attachment to all the things that we have. All that is mine, beloved, and pleasing will become otherwise, will become separated from me. And that's also very much tied to our leaving it all behind no matter what. And then remembering, I am the heir of my karma. I am the heir of my karma. It's my karma that determines the length of my life. It's the karma that's determined the life that I have right now. And whatever I do is going to determine where I go from here. So they're very, very valuable things to reflect on. And then we go one step further. It's not just me. Every being is of the nature to age. Every being is of the nature to sicken. Every being is of the nature to die. Everyone will be separated from everything that is beloved and pleasing, and everyone is the heir to their own karma. And this generates our compassion for all of us. So taking an opportunity like this to go back and reflect and deepen when it touches us more personally on these 5 reflections is a really powerful way to practice, to keep us alive to what makes life meaningful. Where is our purpose? And then the third thing that I've been thinking of is not from the Buddhist tradition. It's more, it's a song from Sweet Honey in the Rock, which comes out of the African tradition. But it has relevance here. They talk about listen more often to things than to beings. It's the ancestor's breath when the fire's voice is heard. It's the ancestor's breath in the voice of the water. Those who have died have never left. They're in the rustling leaves. They are in the gurgling brook. So from a Buddhist standpoint, you can't say, oh yeah, that's our friend, I hear him in the gurgling brook, per se. But what it does speak to is the continuity of this body. This material thing becomes something else. It goes on. It does go into the water. It does become the rustling leaves. It does get engaged with all of these things. And so we're kind of back to the beginning of this idea of the interdependence that we have with all phenomena is exactly what the Buddha taught us to be aware of. So as we reflect on our friend's passing, as we maybe continue to certainly do dedications for his good rebirth, rejoice in the fact that he had great Dharma support at the time of his death, just remarkable circumstances for that. And also to bring it very deeply into our own and remember, I have not gone beyond dying. And let that be a reminder as we go through our days and our lives that we want to create the karma. We want to be heirs of the karma that leads us to be able to realize our full potential and become Buddhas for all beings.